In the next of our series of website critiques, we've come across the website of London portrait and fashion photographer Dilesh Solanki, and we're going to work through the website here. And there's some real good learnings for us as to things that we can do on our own website and things that could actually be costing us traffic and costing us inquiries. So, without more ado, let's jump right in. We've popped in the domain name and we've come straight up to what we call a gatekeeper page. Now, gatekeeper pages were very, very popular back in 2010, 2015, because it was a great way of separating out our traffic so that we could maybe have portrait and fashion and different journeys for different customers so that we gave them specific information. Here we're using a gatekeeper page. We've got the author's name. We've got some basic contact tools, but they're very, very small down the bottom here, feeding us off to Instagram, Facebook, and off to an email. Now, one of the problems with this is we can do one of two things. Before we've even shown anybody any of our work, before we've even had chance to talk to them, chance to get the cogs whirring, we're saying, you've come to my website, but why don't you head to Instagram or Facebook instead? And as soon as we push people out of our website, we push people out of our sales funnel, and we're very much freeing them up to go and test ideas in other places and to go on this rabbit hole excursion of other photographers and other things that are going to pop up in their Instagram or Facebook feeds. So whilst they're on our website, we really want to control what they're doing. There's no telephone number here. There is an email icon, but again, they're very, very small at the bottom here. Now, one of the reasons he might be using this on the reverse side of the coin is to have some very SEO optimized landing page here. There may be some very specific terms that they're using, which will direct us through to this landing page. Now, this website is built upon the platform of Squarespace, and as we go through and enter onto the site, we'll start to see something very, very typical of web designers. Now, whether you go to Theme Forest or any of the other big website design platforms where you can buy an off-the-shelf theme, one thing that everybody seems to think photographers want is a gallery site. And this site is full of beautiful imagery, which really shows off the photographer's talent. And as we scroll through, it's ticked the box of beautiful imagery, but it's failed to actually tick the boxes as far as our customer journey, educating the customer, persuading them to inquire, giving them a reason to get in touch with us. There's no calls to action, there's no body text. So from an SEO point of view, this website's a bit of a nightmare. We talk about the basics of SEO, we talk about page titles, we talk about meta descriptions, and then we move into headlines and headers, type 1, H1s, H2s, H3 headers, and all of the things that build up part of a traditional conversation in text on a website. That conversation between the viewer and the author doesn't take place on these pages. So when Google comes along and spiders this site, it gets a list of, let's count, 15, 20, 25, 30 images, and it will say image1.jpg, image2.jpg, and it will put in their descriptions if we fitted them, their alt tags and their meta descriptions, but there's no context to any of it. So it's very, very difficult with a website with no writing on it to build our expertise and our authority and to build trust with the reader. The three of the main areas that Google judges us on now, it's very difficult to build those areas of rapport just with images. So if it were me, I would be making sure that each of these areas, editorial, commercial, all had a write-up. For these ones here on editorial, I would love to see a little bit more of a write-up. Let's say we get to the bottom of this page here, we should have maybe 300 to 500 words about what the brief was, making it almost into a case study of what we got up to and how we met the final brief. So, we'd write 200 or 300 words here, and 300 to 500 words here rather, which was saying that this was a brief for XYZ magazine. The initial brief was to produce an image sequence called The Daughter of a Preacher, and these were the ideas. Even have a bit of a mood board down here of ideas that were put together. and then how the finished panel was put together. But we need to be, for each of these pages, I mean, editorial, we've got 7 pages there. If you added 500 words to each of them, all of a sudden you've got 3,500 words of content already on the website. Then as you move through the website into the commercial areas, we've got the commercial jobs. Again, we could feature a couple of case studies at the bottom of the page here, or some frequently asked questions about commissioning a commercial photographer. You know, there could be a new fashion brand or someone that's never worked with a professional photographer before. What would they need to know before they picked up the phone and phoned you to commission you for a project? What would they need to tell you? We need to be answering these questions in our marketing to encourage people to pick up the phone and speak to us, because we've got to differentiate ourselves from the competition. A beautiful body of work here under hair and beauty. And then as we go through portrait, again, gallery after gallery after gallery. Some of the things that we've done really, really well. I love the fact we can pin straight to Pinterest. If you're really utilizing Pinterest in your photography, then you can be inspiring people for their sessions, and it's a great way to find work if you're really optimizing your content for that social media platform. Now, Dilesh has been really busy in the past on some of the platforms on the internet, so on Pinterest, on Behance, on LinkedIn, on 500px, on Twitter, on Instagram. So giving all of those areas a little bit of a freshen up will be really, really important, and will also help drive visitors back to your website. So we've gone through the fact that there's no copy. There's a little bit of information about Dil on his contact me page. And this is very, very similar to every other photographer on the internet. I picked up a camera because I was going traveling, or I was photographing my children. I left my job in IT. We need to spin this on its head and turn around and almost say, you know, the things that you're looking for, and then how I bring those skills and qualities to the party. Make it less about you, but more about their project and how you're the right person for their project. Again, there's no contact details on here. There's no address. There's no telephone number. And Google likes to see those things Google likes to see those things on a local SEO point of view. If you've got a strong LinkedIn profile, which I know that yours could do with a little bit of work, then that again can feed back through to your page. Great holiday photo of yourself here, enjoying the sunshine, enjoying your travel photography. But what I'd say is, if we're working on building a personal rapport to people, first of all, I would ensure that pictures, headshots, and pictures on our about page, we want to make eye contact with people. So I'd go for a professional portrait or professional headshot rather than this style of holiday snap. You can still be in the same location, but I would make sure that you can see the eyes, you can see the face, so you can build that visual rapport with people before they pick up the phone. Some additional areas that you could use some newer technology. You could embed some video into the site. That would really help with your Google SEO ability. And you've done an awful lot of the basics, like the SSL certificates, and there's an awful lot of things that you've done where you have a background in IT. But as I say, the quality of the content needs to just have a little bit more readability. We need to build some authority and some trust through you explaining what goes on, what the process is, giving some background to some of the sessions that you've done. You know, as we go through the editorial pictures, or the commercial pictures would be a better idea. You know, what was the background behind this picture? You know, were we doing, it says British athletics in the background. Was this an Olympian in training? What was the story behind this photo shoot? You know, were we producing images for the leggings manufacturer? Were we preparing images for the gym? What's the story that goes along behind these? And that helps us to really build up the photographs that we've got, along with some copy and some content beside it. We can then interlink that. One of the other things is there is no blog within your website, so there's no area for you to give us information about some professional development you've been doing, things that are happening within your studio, projects that you're planning, and taking us on the journey with you. And the blogs are a great area for you to use to explain different products, different services, different ideas, different things that are happening in your industry, but keep adding fresh content to the site. One of the things I would say is if you've got quite a small portfolio of work, rather than replicating all of the pictures from a session, if you're going to use like 5 or 6 pictures from a session, why not put it on a landing page, or put it on a separate page and make a case study of that and say, right, for this project, here's a few of the pictures that we prepared, and this project was for XYZ reason. If you're limited to your number of images, then that helps explain why you're using so many from the same shoot, if that makes sense. So all in all, we've got a really nice, fast, lean website. The pictures load really quickly, but there needs to be some basic SEO work done. As I say, images need some alt tags. Let's just run through some of the other bits that are on my list. The page title meta descriptions need a lot of work, because at the moment these aren't giving you the best chances to be found. Yes, somebody may search for you straight away by your name, but it's reasonably rare. You've also got quite a unique name, so people are likely to find you on Google anyway. When we add these two together, this is how it appears in Google, and that's not, when you've got a list of 10 results, it's not the most enticing piece of copy for us to have us click on. So we may have a page that's all about gym photography, for example. So we might put something here like need to increase the sales of your leggings, or build a better vision for your gym, or I'm just spitballing here, but there's hundreds of different things that you could very much niche that page down to and say, London's leading gym photographer Dilesh Solanki provides images that boost your membership, help you sell more products, and retain clients, something along those lines. And then you could take them to a page that's all about gym photography, for example, or with your fashion photography. It helps us to be creative. Every page we can put something different, then we can test it and measure it and see what comes back from it. As we go down the page, it says about our headings. This is something I've already mentioned. Because we've got no copy on the pages, there's no body text here, we can't have H2 and H3 headings. So as soon as we put some information in here and we break it down visually, so we've got titles of different sizes, then all of these H1, H2, H3 will pop up. When we look at the content analysis, because there's very little text there, we can't be ranking highly for anything other than these handful of terms. There's very little linking between the pages, because again there's no text, so we're not referencing other terms, we're not referencing other pages. The only links between pages are in our top menu here that links pages. At the bottom of the page here, we could do with some information about our British Institute of Professional Photographers qualifications, a logo, a link back to the profile on the BIPP website, and bits like that will add authority for us. At the moment, the website's doing a lot of the work for us when it comes to some of the SEO. So the robots text file and the sitemap XML file are all being done for us. We've got a nice clean page. There's no broken links, because there's very, very few links there in the first place. The page renders really beautifully on mobile, which is really great about Squarespace's system, and there's a lot of benefits to using that. With the schema markups, at the moment, without any text, any content, we're not able to make use of those, but there's areas like articles that can answer people's questions. There's areas like events and things like that that we can put into place for future use. There's some compression in place at the moment to speed things up, and we're already using tools like Google Analytics and Squarespace's systems to ensure that we've got a fast website. So all in all, we've got a great foundations for a website here. One of the things that it does bring up is about backlinks, and backlinks occur in a number of different ways. And one of the easiest well, there's two easy ways to build backlinks and citations. First of all, you've got tons and tons of directory entries that you can put yourself in, including into the BIPP Find a Photographer directory. If you're featured in there, that will provide you a high quality backlink to your website. You can also go off to a number of different online directories, from Yale.com to other specialists within the fashion industry. Before you add yourself to those, I would definitely look at their page authority and their page rank. Although they're quite old metrics now, it will still give you an idea as to the quality of the website that they're coming from. The other way to build citations very quickly to your site is to take a look at Google My Business, build a profile for yourself there. You can exclude your address and your telephone number if you need to. But it's a great way that if you're posting on there regularly, you're posting pictures, you're posting updates, you can link back to pages on your site, and you can build those citations and backlinks very, very quickly. If you don't know anything about Google My Business, we're going to produce a webinar on it shortly. But I did write an article about 6 months ago in the Photographer magazine, which you can take advantage of. It's got about 10 simple steps in there to get started with Google My Business, but that will help build backlinks. If I explain backlinks in a really, really simple way, if you walk into the library and you ask for a book and the librarian says, oh, we've got one copy of that book, I'll let you have it. And the next person walks into the library and says, can I have that book by Jamie Morgan, please? And the librarian says, well, we have got one copy, but unfortunately it's out at the moment, but we're going to get more copies into stock. So Google works on the basis that the more people are asking for something, the more it stocks it, or the higher up the rankings it goes. With a citation, it's a bit like you mentioned in the newspaper, and the more times you're mentioned in the newspaper, the more times people walk into the library, and the more times people walk into the library looking for your book. So these citations are references to your business across the internet. It tells Google that you're still in business. It tells Google that you're popular, that it should stock more copies of your book, and that you're worth paying attention to. So it's important to build these citations, build them regularly, and also update them regularly. So there's an awful lot of places that you can post reviews. They're great citations because they come from the public. And there's also a lot of websites where you can add images to and add details about your business. So Free Index is one, Yale.com is another, where you can go back now and again and add a few extra pictures, freshen things up. And it means that citation, when Google spiders, that citation is still popping up there in the World Wide Web, and it means that you're still in business and you're still relevant to the people that are looking for information about fashion and portrait photographers in London. So this has been a review of the website of Dilesh Solanki. I'm Jamie Morgan, and thank you for tuning in, and we'll be covering another website in review later in the week.